Flushing Meadows Corona Park, the old World's Fair site. It's the center of the sports universe this week. You got baseball on one side of the bridge. You got tennis on the other side of the bridge. Which way to go? Which way? Come this way. It's a lot more fun. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Mets and Braves have split the first two of this series, leaves the Braves 2 games out at the moment after the Giants win this afternoon in the National League wildcard standings. And a pleasant evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets and Braves play the rubber game of this series. This series has afforded us the opportunity to watch 2 players who are the best defensive players at their position, bar none, in the major leagues, in Juan Lagares for the Mets and Andrelton Simmons for the Braves.
You know, it's interesting. Very few times do you see defensive difference makers, and both Lagares and Simmons are like that. When you watch them play, there's an expectation level from their own team, from the pitchers, but also what has started to happen now, not only with Lagares, but it's been with Simmons for the past 2 years, is that the other team expects them to make the play. Travis d'Arnaud was asked, did he think it was a hit off the bat? Said absolutely not. And you can see the difference makers and what they do at their position, the best defensively, I think, in baseball.
And at 2 of the most important positions in the game as well, and that certainly benefits their pitching staffs. And 2 left-handers will try and get the jump on each other tonight. John Neese, who's only faced the Braves once this time, goes for the Mets this night.
Yeah, you know, Gary, it's been kind of a disappointing season for both lefties. When you think about it, this is the last start for Jonathan. Only 2 earned runs in 6 2/3 innings as he tries to inch his record closer to 500.
It's been a very disappointing year for Mike Minor, but the last couple of starts, all of a sudden, he's found his gear.
Well, he started the season on the DL. You're right, he's starting to pitch better now. They need him to have a huge September.
Took a no-hitter into the 8th inning against Cincinnati his last time out, and the Mets will face Minor and the Braves tonight. Rubber game of the series from Citi Field. Get your arm loose and come on back. All the action coming your way on SNY. Presenting Mets games in crystal clear HD. By Nissan. Get to Nissan's Bottom Line event today for bonus cash on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Citi. Citi cards can get you in on the action and closer to the game with access to special benefits at Citi Field this season. Visit Mets.com/Citi to learn more. By New York Community Bank and the NYCB family of banks. Visit them on the web at mynycb.com. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Time to send in your AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown later tonight during the game. It's the Mets and the Braves for the 16th time this year. John Neese getting set to throw the first pitch. Are you set to watch it? By Verizon. Create, share, and save every Mets moment all season long with the latest devices and accessories from Verizon, America's largest and most reliable network. John Neese taking the mound for the 25th time this year. Getting ready to face the Atlanta Braves. There's the Hyundai starting lineup for Atlanta tonight. Braves have scored just 5 runs in the first 2 games of this series. They have been offensively challenged of late, but they won last night 3-2. Chris Johnson, who sat out last night, is back in the lineup. So is Emilio Bonifacio, and John Neese, who was betrayed by his defense in his last start, hopes for better fortune tonight.
Well, the Caesars numbers for Jonathan on the year, 50 and 49 in his career, but he's been betrayed by his offense against the Braves in his last 3 starts at home. They've only given him 1 run to work with. And then the Lexus defense behind Jonathan Neese this evening. You see Lucas Duda, who's done a fine job at first base. One with Flores, who's been turning some double plays at second. 6 double plays turned by this infield defense in the last 2 nights. And David Wright, of course, back at third base. Campbell gets the start in left field. Then Decker played there yesterday. Well, we spent a lot of time on Lagares. Why wouldn't we? And Curtis Granderson in right. And Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate again.
Flores at second base again tonight because Daniel Murphy's calf is not getting better, and they've sent Daniel for an MRI to see just what the extent of the damage is there. The Mets also made a move with their bullpen today. Vic Black, who's got a herniated disc in his neck, goes on the disabled list, and Daisuke Matsuzaka has been activated from the disabled list.
It's almost like they didn't know what to do with Daisuke, but now they've gotten their opening.
Well, one way or another, he would have been activated Monday when the rosters expand, but you don't want to go short in your bullpen so many days in a row as the Mets have. Josh Edgin, who had been iffy the last few days with an elbow problem, probably available for the game tonight. Jason Hayward will lead off, 1 for 8 in the series. Neese's first pitch is outside, and we're underway. Hayward provided the keynote last night with a home run against Zach Wheeler on the 3rd pitch of the game. 11th home run of the year for Hayward, and he takes the cutter on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1. Neese facing the Braves for just the 2nd time this year. He saw them in April here at Citi Field and pitched a gem. 6 solid innings. Gets the curveball over for a strike, and it's 1-2. Don has now made 7 starts since returning from that stint on the disabled list to rest his shoulder, and the results have not been good. 2-5, a 4.63 ERA in those 7 starts. Looking for the level of consistency that characterized the first 3 months of his season. 2-2 to Hayward.
Well, he had that long stretch where it was 6 innings plus, 2 innings or less, or 3 innings, 3 runs or less. Sorry.
Slap past the mound, but Tejada's there to scoop it up, and he throws out Hayward 1 away. Tejada had a 33-game errorless streak end last night on a play that, boy, I'm sure he has gone over in his mind 100 times since it happened. It wound up being the difference in the game.
I mean, he's only made 6 errors all season long, so he's been great. But boy, some of those plays you make earlier in the game sometimes come back to haunt you.
1 out and nobody on. Here's Emilio Bonifacio. Appeared as a pinch runner last night after starting in center field on Tuesday night. B.J. Upton got the call in center last night, but his playing time continues to diminish in favor of Bonifacio, who was picked up from the Cubs at the trading deadline, and as he generally does, he shows bunt. 0-1. Bonifacio playing his 19th game with the Braves.
Since the last time we've seen 2 curveballs in the matter of the first 6 pitches in a game by Jonathan Neese. Not very often.
Ripped up the middle, and Bonifacio's got a 1-out hit. I find it interesting, Ronnie, especially in the wake of the fact that we saw Zach Wheeler last night against the same team throw more curveballs than we'd ever seen before.
And it makes you feel as though that is the kind of blueprint game plan that has been given to these pitchers for the Mets. Obviously, the Braves are a great fastball hitting team, home run hitting team, maybe not so good on the breaking pitch.
Here's Freddie Freeman, 2 for 7 in the series with a pair of doubles. Freeman tied for 6th in the National League in base hits, 3rd in doubles with 37. Bonifacio a base stealer at first. He's got 18 on the year. And East gets the fastball over for a strike. Freeman has held his own against lefties this year. .268 against left-handers. 5 of his 17 home runs against southpaws. He gets jammed there and fouls it off, and it's 0-2. Justin Upton hitting cleanup. He waits on deck. There goes Bonifacio. D'Arnaud's throw hits the runner, goes into center field. Bonifacio will take off for 3rd, and he makes it safely there. Freeman struck out looking for the 2nd out, but Bonifacio with a stolen base takes 3rd on D'Arnaud's error.
Well, one thing you can say is when d'Arnaud came back from Las Vegas, he got his hitting on track. He has not gotten his defense on track at all. We see the same throw over and over and over. It's the ball that starts at the bag and kind of tails away from the shortstop.
19th stolen base for Bonifacio, so he's 3rd with 2 out. And Justin Upton, who has 25 RBIs in the month of August, the most he's ever had in a month in his major league career, will try and get the first run home. And he takes a curveball for a strike. Upton has had much success against John Neese. 9 hits and 17 career at bats.
Well, the game plan is to brush back Upton inside, pitch him inside.
Chop to the left side. Big hop for Tejada. And the accurate throw gets Neese through the opening inning unscathed. Mets will come to bat against Mike Minor in the bottom of the first with Lagares to lead off. No score at Citi Field. Geico Mets starting lineup for tonight. Juan Lagares gets the leadoff spot. Curtis Granderson has struggled so mightily in that one hole. He'll drop down to number 2 again with Murphy out of the lineup. David Wright back in there in his customary third spot as the Mets take on Mike Minor for the third time this year.
The Toyota numbers on this season are not good for Mike Minor. Against the Mets in his career, 4-2 with an ERA around 5, although like his season he's pitched better against the Mets of late, 37-32 on his young career. And the Coors Light defense for the Braves, Upton, Bonifacio, and Hayward in right field. A good defensive outfield. Johnson, Simmons, La Stella, and Freeman. Braves can catch the baseball, and Gerald Laird gets the start behind the plate.
Mike Minor's last start was in Cincinnati on Friday. He held the Reds without a hit for 7 2/3, but he walked 4, and when he gave up his first hit, it tied up the game, and he came right out. So it wound up a no decision, but still very encouraging for Minor, whose numbers have gone backwards this season. Juan Lagares leads off. Lagares a hot bat right now. 4 for 7 in this series, 9 for 18 with 7 RBIs in his last 5 games, up to 282 for the year. Lagares, Granderson, and Wright for the Mets against Minor in the opening inning. And Lagares takes ball 1. Just to give you an idea how Minor has fallen off this year. Last year his whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, was 1.09 for the season. Right back to Minor, nifty pickup, and he throws out Lagares for the first out. From 1.09 to this year, 1.47. That's an enormous jump.
You know what happens with the whip, walks and hits the innings pitched, is that everyone's going, the elite guys are around that 1 area, 1.1. We'll take Kershaw out of the mix. But if you start having around 1.5, that's just too many base runners over the time you're out there. It means you have to be perfect with runners in scoring position.
Here's Granderson, 0 for 5 in this series. Granderson, after the Mets put him in the leadoff spot back in May, had a nice stretch where he was getting on base consistently, and it looked like that might be a permanent attraction. But if you go to the entirety of Granderson's work now in the number 1 hole, he had a .289 on base percentage in the first slot in the batting order, which is the lowest in the majors among players who've had at least 50 games batting leadoff. So it's not working out, and tonight he's hitting number 2. 2 strikes to Curtis. It's been such an odd year for Granderson in his first year in Flushing. Terrible April, better May, great June, and into the first part of July before the All-Star break. But since the break, it's disappeared.
Well, what's interesting, he said he's a consistent personality, a consistent leader, consistent guy in that clubhouse, and the season's been anything but. But his career, and me watching his career, he's always been a streaky type hitter. Streaks are few and far between, though, this year.
Well, the totals are not pretty for him, hitting just .217 for the year, and he goes down on strikes for the second out of the inning.
Well, attacking him with breaking balls, but still, even more importantly, I've said this a couple times, when he was going good, Gary, he did not swing at that pitch. That's the whole difference. He's swinging at pitches out of the strike zone.
So now David Wright makes his return to the lineup for the Mets. Sat out the last 2 games with neck spasms. Did extensive work last night and again tonight. Pronounced himself good to go. Got the okay from the doctors. And now we'll see whether David can produce. That's been the issue, as much as the shoulder and lately the neck issues have been. And he hits the first pitch foul off the right side. 0-1. David hitting .266, a lifetime 300 hitter. And he can't find that pitch outside. 0-2.
First fastball down, change up right off the fastball. This is a good change up here by Minor. Good movement, good change of speed.
David, when he's going right, normally eats up left-handed pitching. Lucas Duda on deck. David hitting .384 against lefties this year, but he goes down on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Minor to finish off the first inning. Mets are out 1-2-3. No score after 1. Chris Johnson leads off the second inning and takes a strike from John Neese. Johnson started the first game of the series on Tuesday night, went 0 for 3, sat out last night, and Neese gets ahead of him with a changeup. 0-2. Johnson, La Stella, and Simmons against Neese, who worked around a 1-out hit from Bonifacio in the first. I mentioned David Wright's numbers against left-handers. He is second in the league behind Chris Johnson, who is hitting .416 against left-handed pitching this year. But he goes down on the curveball from Neese. Second strikeout for John. There's the first out of the second. Tonight you can talk baseball with SNY's Bobby Ojeda during the third inning of the game. Just go to SNY.TV, click on the link, and join the conversation. It's Chat Live with Bobby O, powered by Verizon, only on SNY.TV. Now my question is, where is Bobby O doing that chat from? They had the pregame show live from the field. They're doing the postgame show back in the studio. So is he taking the 7 Express to get back to the studio in time to do the chat, or is he doing it from here and then going back?
He's like Jay-Z. You know, Jay-Z has those new cars that are called the Sprinters, and they're all fully equipped with everything. So you just get in there, you've got satellites, you've got 6 or 7 TVs, you've got the phone, you've got everything working. That's what he's got.
Does it fit in the 7 train?
It's pulled along by the 7 train.
The Stella chops one. Nice tall enough to get it. And that's the second out of the inning. Nice play by John using full extension.
That's a pitch, left-hander on left-hander. I was surprised, to tell you the truth, that Gosselin didn't get the start at second base and went with La Stella. But nice play by Jonathan Nice. Going up that entire, 6'4" frame? Is that what Jonathan is?
So here's Andrelton Simmons with 2 out and nobody on. Simmons has not done much with the bat lately, but that's hardly mattered. Takes inside ball 1.
Not in this series anyway.
A lot of longtime Simmons watchers say that the play he made last night, when you consider the situation, might have been the best he's ever made, which takes in a lot of territory.
Well, I know that I've seen that play made by him 3 or 4 times, but not in that situation. I mean, that's what made it truly amazing. I mean, that was a game-winning. Wasn't a walk-off hit, but it was a game-winning play.
Well, what struck me is how far out of the outfield he was when he made the play, and a lot of people evoked, including Zach Wheeler, evoked Jeter afterward. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever seen Jeter make that play from that far away.
Well, think about it this way: it was Jeter-esque in the sense that, and here's the play. Travis d'Arnaud was quoted as saying, "You know, once I hit it there, I knew he was going to get to it. Just didn't know if I could beat it out." He did not. Think about all the young shortstops. Jeter's been playing so long. How many kids that are now playing in the minor leagues or the big leagues spent a lot of their childhood in the backyard doing the Jeter play?
Simmons draws the walk. You're right, and you know, players tend to emulate their heroes and do things the way they see on TV. And you're right, there's a whole generation of shortstops now who make that jump throw where it was not made 25 years ago.
Just got to have his arm. That's the difference.
That helps. Here's Gerald Laird getting the start behind the plate tonight. Evan Gattis getting the night off. Laird caught the 9th inning last night and had the tag play at the plate as the Mets failed to score in the 9th inning against Kimbrel. Laird now 34 years old with his 5th major league team. And he takes one the other way. That's his game. He's got himself a base hit. Simmons pulls in at second. And the Braves have their 2nd hit of the night.
I'll tell you, Gerald Laird is not a good average hitter. But boy, he seems to wear out the Mets. Always gets a base hit. And that was good hitting on that changeup from Nice.
Well, if nothing else, that'll clear the pitcher's spot. Mike Minor comes up. Minor has 5 hits this year, including a home run. It was his 2nd big league home run. His first one came here last year against Dylan G. And he takes the curveball at his feet for ball 1. Yet another pitcher who bats from the opposite side from which he throws.
Just amazing to me.
It seems like there are more now than ever. Hit hard. That's through the hole. A base hit. Simmons to third. He'll be waved home. Campbell hesitates. And Simmons scores easily to make it 1-0 Atlanta. I'm not sure what Campbell was thinking as he picked that ball up, but he just held it.
Gary, I think he lost the exchange. Let's see. It's hit very hard by Minor. Does he try to get a grip and not get it? That's what happened. He went in his glove to get the grip and did not get a good grip, so he opted to play conservatively. Simmons with a pretty good jump off second base, and he was being waved by Doug DeCenzo the entire time. I thought there was absolutely going to be a play at home plate, but no grip, no throw.
So Minor picks up his 4th RBI of the season, and the Braves cash an early run. This inning began with 2 out and nobody on, a walk to Simmons, and then hits from the 8 and 9 hitters produced the run. Now Jason Hayward, who bounced out to short his first time up. Things seem to happen behind John Neese.
Or not happen.
Well,
right.
and it's all a matter of how he then responds. And that's been an issue at times in his career, and it certainly was in his last start when he had all sorts of problems behind him in the field. Remember, Flores made that error that produced 2 runs. There was another error made behind him in that game. He strikes out Hayward on 3 pitches, so a nice response there from Neese, his 3rd strikeout. But the Braves get the game's first run. Mike Minor drives it in. Braves lead 1-0. Posing with your hero. Nothing better than that.
I like when Curtis takes a picture with fans or signs autographs for fans. He rests his glove on top of his hat. He finds a way to fit it that he doesn't have to hold it, so both hands are free to sign the autographs.
Veteran move.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now, it probably doesn't work with an infielder's glove because it might fall off, but those outfielders' gloves are so big.
I think you have to have be smaller of dome.
Can't have the size 8 head. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Lucas Duda 0 for 7 in this series after his big road trip to Oakland and Los Angeles. Still 3rd in the National League in home runs with 26. And he takes the breaking ball outside from Minor.
Well, you see the defense here. And again, like yesterday, even though Chris Johnson, not a second baseman like Gosselin, playing on that right side of the infield, leaving Simmons where he belongs. And I love that. I love a couple of reasons for that. One, Johnson's definitely out of position. He doesn't have a lot of range. But the whole thing about this that is a problem is the pop-up that goes in foul territory. Simmons' speed, he has a chance to maybe catch it.
I think if you have a third baseman who's got some shortstop skills, like a David Wright, right? I mean, David is a guy who could be an emergency shortstop. Then you feel comfortable leaving your third baseman alone on that left side. think for most teams, this is the better alignment.
Well, I've always, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. It's just the problem is that it always works with the Mets, especially when Tejada was playing shortstop all the time, because Tejada's played some second base.
Right.
The problem is that sometimes when you make these position changes and these shifts, everyone's out of position when you think about it at some point.
Slider in the dirt, 2-2 to Duda, with d'Arnaud and Campbell to follow for the Mets. Well, Duda's going to play every day against the lefties and the righties the rest of the way. Still trying to figure it out, hitting just 148 against left-handers with 1 home run this year. And he goes down on the slider for the first out of the inning. Third strikeout for Minor, his third in a row.
Well, the Mets so far are not picking up the breaking pitch, right-handed or left-handed, from Mike Minor. We can see why he has been pitching much better lately. That is a sharp breaking ball that eludes Duda.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Travis d'Arnaud. d'Arnaud 2 for 7 in this series. And Travis has been playing every day. Even played day game after a night game in LA. Johnson handles the ground ball and throws out d'Arnaud 2 away. Well, after the Mets get done with the Braves, they welcome in the Phillies tomorrow night. The Phils just come off a sweep of the Nationals the last 3 days. Mets have had their way with the Phillies this year, but the Phils playing better right now than they have in a while. Then the Mets go to Miami for 3 games. The Marlins continuing to hold their own. And then to Cincinnati, where it has been a lost season for the Reds, who expected to contend this year.
That was impressive by the Phillies, because the Nationals were the hottest team in all of baseball. The Marlins might be the best story in baseball, and the Reds might be the worst.
The Reds said that Joey Votto is finally going to start working his way toward coming back, but that it's unlikely that he'll be ready by the time the Mets get there.
I heard something I've never heard before. It was written about Joey Votto. It said that he was proceeding cautiously, and he was just now taking some air swings. Have you heard that one before?
I've heard of air guitar.
I mean, come on.
I think I'm pretty good at it. Here's the 0-2 to Campbell, taken high. Campbell 2 for 8 in this series. Played the last 2 nights at third base with David Wright out. Playing left field tonight against the left-hander. Hit sharply, but right at that vacuum cleaner at short. And the side retired. 6 up and 6 down for Mike Minor to start his night. He's got a 1-0 lead as we go to the third at Citi Field. A3. Emilio Bonifacio leads off the third, and he takes a strike. Bonifacio had a base hit and stole a base his first time up. So there's been a lot of conversation in baseball this year and last year, and really the last few years. And I guess it goes back further than that, but it's become sort of a, I don't know, it's become a note of crisis to some people in baseball. The pace of the game and the resultant time of games, as Bonifacio didn't offer, and it's 2-1. So we were scratching our heads and trying to figure out how we could try to quantify some of the ways in which baseball might be able to tighten up the pace of the game. Hit sharply off Neese's leg, and that'll go into left field. A base hit for Bonifacio, but of greater concern is where that ball struck John Neese. There's been something of a pincushion this year. Ray Ramirez, the trainer, will come out to have a look.
Well, that's two balls right up the middle from Bonifacio on fastballs away, and this one catches Jonathan. Looks like right off just below the knee, on the outside part of maybe the calf, the left calf. You hope it hit that. If it hits that meaty part, no problem. If it hits any of the bone around the knee, it could be an issue.
Well, he's smiling. That's always a good sign.
You know, to get off the point you were talking about, Gary, just quickly, we talk all the time on pitchers, the helmet that might protect them. The best way pitchers could protect themselves is at some point go back to teaching themselves to get in a fielding position at some point. I'm not even going to say that'll help you sometimes, but to be sideways certainly doesn't help.
Well, if you're a left-hander, go watch film on Mike Hampton, who was always in perfect fielding.
Tommy Glavine.
Right. Here's Freddie Freeman with a man on. So Neese appears to be okay, and that certainly is a big sigh of relief for the Mets. He struck out Freeman looking his first time up. So we were thinking about ways in which we could look at pace of game issues. That one's drilled to Duda, and it's a double play. Second line drive double play that Duda has turned unassisted in this series.
See Bonifacio smile and say, boy, you do this all the time. The first game it was Tommy LaStella that hit, and then it was the mud wrestling between Evan Gattis and Lucas Duda to get back to the bag. This time very easy. Skywalker for Lucas Duda, and then the tag.
Duda and Gattis is more of a fair fight. if Duda and Bonifacio enter wrestling, it might get ugly. So 2 out of nobody on. Now Justin Upton, and he takes a big rip and fouls it off. So we decided tonight, in a very unscientific fashion, to try and measure the time that batters take outside the batter's box. So we're going to put a clock up and measure hitters from the time they get to the dirt circle around home plate for their at bat.
Okay.
And then the time they spend outside the batter's box during their at bat.
Like maybe adjusting their gloves, all those kind of things.
Now, some guys stay in the box the whole time, and so we wouldn't run the clock on them. But like, for instance, Upton stepped out of the box for just a moment, and now he's back in, so you stop the clock. So it's just a couple of seconds there. And we're going to go and tote up. And again, it's unscientific. There's no, there's no official stat here. But we're just trying to come up with a number over the course of a game to see how much time hitters spend outside the batter's box. Upton pops one up on the infield. It's a windy night, so all hands on deck, and Flores stays with it to end the inning. So Neese takes a blow, keeps on ticking. Still 1-0 Atlanta. Their series with the Braves. The Braves, by the way, have won the season series at Citi Field ever since there's been a Citi Field. This year, the Mets have won 5 of 9 from the Braves in this ballpark, so they can break that string. Wilmer Flores 1 for 5 in this series. That was a home run on Tuesday night, and he takes up and away for ball 1. I should say last night. Flores gave the Mets their first run with a home run. His second of the year. Tejada and Neese to follow. And it's in the dirt, 2-0. For Wilmer, this is the 41st game that he has started. He's had 156 at bats. He's hitting .224, .258 on base percentage. So the home run last night was certainly a step in the right direction, but he's got more to show.
You know, when I think of some of the players that signed at 16, it reminds me of how baseball used to be. You would sign out of high school, you would be in the minor leagues for 6-7 years before you got your shot. That's what happens for some of these young men that sign as early as Wilmer.
On the outside corner, a strike. Of course, that only applies to international players that they can sign at 16 from Venezuela in the case of Flores, or the Dominican. American players can be drafted out of high school, so they're usually at least 17, but usually 18 or even 19. In some ways, it's an advantage to the international players that they get to start their pro careers as early and come under professional supervision at that point in their lives.
Barely make my bed when I was 16. Barely.
2-2 from Minor. Foul ball. Of course, there's been discussion about the potential of instituting an international draft, as the NBA has, as the NHL has. International sports drawing from many, many countries. Everybody goes in the same pool as opposed to having different rules for international players as opposed to the American and Canadian players who are subject to the draft. I think we're working toward that point.
Yes.
Now with limits on international signing bonuses.
There's been a lot of money spent though in Venezuela and Dominican on.
Well, the teams that have done the most work there are most against the international draft concept.
Of course.
And some have argued that putting Puerto Rico in the draft, which they did a number of years ago, has actually hurt baseball in Puerto Rico. But I think if everybody were subject to the same rules, I don't think that would be the case. 8th pitch of the at bat to Flores, and he hits it sharply, but right at Simmons for the first out. So Minor has retired the first 7. For more on Mike Minor, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Well, when you're Minor, Gary, and 10 starts before early August, when the Braves actually skipped his start, you have a 7.33 ERA. It can't get much worse than that, and he's obviously been a lot better. Ronnie, you talked about his stuff being crisp tonight. His ERA, his last few starts since getting skipped, 2.53. So there's been a change there, and clearly, you know, you've heard some different reasoning. He sat with Irvin Santana, talked about pitch grips, things like that. But what Minor told me yesterday is that, you know, for me, they came to me and said, look, we want you to skip a start and we want you to rest, mentally rest. And he said, you know, I think they genuinely meant it, and I took that to heart, and I really just evaluated things. And, you know, I think unfortunately for me, when things started going poorly and I was yielding home runs left and right, you start to believe what's written and said about you, that I am giving up too many home runs and why, and maybe my ground ball percentage isn't what it's supposed to be, and you really just start to doubt yourself, and that started to happen. So internally I said to myself, hey, I cannot be the guy that's now gonna, that's a good one, what's up, Vic? I cannot be the guy that's gonna go out and hope to have a good game. I have to be the guy that's going to have a good game. I told my wife this before my first start, after the skip start, hey honey, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna dominate tonight. I got away from saying that. And then there's this, John Smoltz helping him by doing this. He put a loop as Hayward makes the catch to Hada retire. John Smoltz put a 2-minute loop together with the Braves video guy of the best pitches that Minor has thrown in recent times. Just said, watch this, kind of what you're capable of doing. All those good things that Minor believing and dealing right now.
John's doing a great job. He's talked to Zach Wheeler. He's helped out Mike Minor. Kevin, you know what's interesting about that, of you talking about a young pitcher like Minor, 2 outs here, is that, you know, he's won 11 games and he won 13, and the expectation level now is to amp it up, go a little higher. But when you start the season on the DL like he has, sometimes you rush into your season. You try to play catch up all season long. And I think after a while, you start to look at your numbers and go, boy, I'm not going to get to 10. I'm not going to get. And you start to press. And once you press for your young player, you're in trouble. But it seems now that he's come back, and that was a good move by the Braves.
The aspect of positive thinking as it relates to performance is just, it's so hard for people who don't play the game to understand.
Everyone does it in a different way too. There are some guys that I used to envy because they just had so much confidence, Gary, the Garris on deck, and they just oozed it. For me, it was always fear of failure. Go out there, you got to get the job done because you just can't fail. You've been taught you can't fail. You have to be good. So everyone comes at it a different way.
Nice is down on strikes. Mike Minor, who had 7 no-hit innings in his last start, has 3 perfect innings to start this one. 1-0 Braves after 3. Johnson struck out his first time up. Braves' only run came on a base hit by Mike Minor with 2 out in the second. So Minor's been perfect on the mound and has contributed the game's only run. A third of a way to what Ronnie likes to refer to as the Little League game.
That's right.
Nisa got struck just below the knee by a line drive off the bat of Bonifacio in the last inning. Sees it go beyond him, and Tejada has no play, and Johnson is safe at first. It'll be an infield single for Chris Johnson.
Well, it's interesting. The line that Tejada took, he's on the dirt there. We saw yesterday with Simmons how he sometimes gave room and ended up on the grass. But Tejada probably thinking by the time he got on the grass, wouldn't have enough time to throw Johnson out. So tried to cut it off, did not work.
And again, we talked about it last night. So much of the way you should approach a ball on a difficult play, and we saw it with Tejada last night, has to do with who's running. Last night Tejada had all day because Evan Gattis was running, but didn't take that into account and made the error that cost a run.
I'm trying to think of the equivalent with apps of the Rolodex of information.
Double play ball right at Flores, and Tejada makes the turn for the 4-6-3 double play. Mets turn their second double play in the last 2 innings.
They make it look smooth up the middle, I'll tell you. Beautiful feed. And you make the runner Johnson get down and throw a strike.
We'll say this, Flores has looked awfully comfortable at second base.
Much more comfortable at second than he does at shortstop.
And as Terry Collins said, you know, he played shortstop when he first started out in the minors, but the last 2-3 years played a lot more second base than he has shortstop. And certainly has looked good turning the double plays with Tejada. 2 out and nobody on, and Simmons takes a strike. Andrelton Simmons walked and scored the only run of the game in the second.
I'm trying to say that all the good infielders and outfielders to a degree, but infielders have all that information flash through their brain. How fast the runner is, how hard the ball is hit, where do I cut it off, if it's too far in the hole I have no chance. All of that stuff comes flooded through their brain, and the real good ones, it's like that, an instant. The ones that aren't so good, it takes a little longer, or there's some I played with who don't do it at all. They just kind of react. However they catch the ball, they do it the same every time.
Slow ground ball for Flores to handle, and he makes the cross-body throw just in time to get Simmons. Nicely done to end the inning. Still 1-0. Thought a center fielder could. He's already perhaps the best defensive center fielder in Mets history, and he's only in his second season in the major leagues. And the way Juan Lagares has played, it's gotten us thinking about the lineage of center fielders in Mets history, and they've had some good ones. They've had some great ones. They've had some guys who were more offensively oriented, and they've had some who did it both with the bat and the glove. So it's something we do from time to time, look back at the progression over the course of the franchise's history. Nobody played more games in center field for the Mets than Mookie Wilson, who, by the way, is here tonight. Carlos Beltran, Tommy Agee, Lee Mazzilli. Of course, guy you played with, Lenny Dykstra, Jay Payton, Brian McRae in the 90s, Angel Pagan more recently. Lagares hits one right to his fellow defensive savant, and Simmons throws him out one away. Well, it all started with Richie Ashburn, who was the opening day center fielder for the Mets in their first year in 1962. Tommy Agee helped the Mets win a World Series in '69. Lee Mazzilli was the poster boy in the 70s. Mookie came along in the late 70s, early 80s, and then Lenny on the championship team in '86 along with Mookie. Carlos Beltran may be the best all-around outfielder the Mets have ever had. And now Lagares. And, you know, there have been a lot of others along the way.
Yeah.
But you start with Whitey, Richie Ashburn. He was the quintessential leadoff hitter, right? Look at the on-base percentage for the '62 Mets. He was the Mets MVP in 1962.
And that was his last year in the major leagues also, was 1962. So they had him at the end of his career.
He didn't actually play the most games in center field for the Mets that year. Jim Hickman did.
Okay.
Hickman was more of a power hitter. In fact, became the first Met ever to hit 3 home runs in a game. And Hickman held down center field for most of the first 3 years in Mets history. 3-1 to Granderson.
Well, in a day and age where you had to have a nickname, Whitey made sense because of his hair color. The Tilden Flash because he was from Nebraska. But the one I love is Putt Putt. Ted Williams gave him that name because he said it was like a twin motor on a boat. Putt, 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 back and forth.
3-2 to Granderson. And the Mets kind of muddled along in center field for most of the '60s until Agee came along. Came in a trade in 1968, and he had a terrible first year with the Mets. Hit just .217 as Gil Hodges watched him flounder in Gil's first year as manager.
He had been Rookie of the Year in '66.
Right, with the White Sox. As Granderson strikes out for the second out. Well, Agee best known for those 2 great catches he made in Game 3 of the World Series. There's the second one in 1969.
You know, it was interesting today is I had seen Tommy play, but not over the course of an entire season. And you see his numbers. I reached out to his widow, Maxine Agee, today, who I know, and I asked her, I said, you know, do you have anything for me? Did Tommy ever talk about, because he left us at 58 years old, and she talked about that Tommy used to talk about baseball morning, noon, and night. And she said on those 2 great catches, when he went to right field, she said he said the toughest part always was the wind at Shea Stadium. But when he went to right field, he misjudged it. He was just kind of gliding into it. The wind caught it, and that's why he had to sprint and kind of dive for it late. The one to left field, he had said to her that when it came off the bat, I knew how important it was, and my first thought, 3 or 4 strides into it, I'm going through the wall. I don't care what happens, I'm catching that baseball. And those 2 catches were as good as they ever were. She also told me that because he grew up in Mobile playing in the sandlots with Cleon Jones, that Tommy always thought it was so important for symmetry and communication between outfielders. And he said he never ever had to worry about Cleon because they knew each other like brothers. So he really concentrated on working on the more defensively challenged Swoboda and Shamsky in right field. Knowing them allowed him to patrol center field the way he did.
And of course, Agee also, he contributed an offensive component. Batted lead off, hit 26 home runs in that championship season. 3-1 to David Wright, and he bounces one for Simmons. And so Mike Minor perfect through 4. He has really hit his stride, hasn't he? 1-0 Braves after 4.
territory out in that big center field in the Polo Grounds. How are you looking forward to that sort of a duty?
The way these guys are talking about all those hitters, Ralph, I don't know whether we ought to show up out there, but I think we have some fellas, too, that are going to do a good job in the Polo Grounds and can hit those lines, and I'm looking forward to it very much.
Of course, the Mets played their first 2 seasons at the old Polo Grounds in Upper Manhattan, and it was 483 feet to center field. Gerald Laird hits one out to left, and Eric Campbell is there, and that's the first out of the 5th. I would have loved to have seen Lagares playing a 483-foot center field.
Well, I was thinking that I only knew Whitey as an announcer, and listening to him interviewed by Ralph, you could tell that he wasn't looking forward to it at all, of playing in Polo Grounds.
So 1 out. Here's the pitcher. Minor is driven in the only run of the game and thrown 4 perfect innings to boot. Well, we mentioned Tommy Agee. Then the Mets had Don Hahn, who was their center fielder, their primary center fielder when they went to the World Series in 1973. Del Unser, who was a pretty good hitter, was here for a couple of years in the mid-70s. And then Maz came along. And, the Brooklyn-born Mazzilli was an instant matinee idol. And he was the best player the Mets had in those dark days, especially after the Seaver trade in '77. He was the marquee guy. Kid who could throw with either hand, made the basket catches a la Willie Mays in center field.
That's right. He was naturally ambidextrous, so that had to really help him with his switch hitting. He had that amazing All-Star game in '79, right, where he hit the home run to tie the game and walked.
Opposite field home run, tucked into the left field corner at the Kingdome.
And then walked with the bases loaded to push in the winning run.
Full count to Minor. Well, there's Lee Mazzilli. Tight pants and all.
Mazzill's one of the reasons I was initially hated here in New York.
Minor slugs 1 out to left, and Campbell is there for the second out. Of course, Mazzilli was traded to Texas to bring Ronnie along with Walt Terrell back, and that set the wheels in motion for a championship.
I remember one of the first questions I got from the New York media, savvy New York media. Jay Horwitz had us right on the front porch there of the Huggins Stengel. What would you call that little house there that used to be in spring training? One of the media guys said, Lee Mazzilli just said it's awful to be traded for 2 minor leaguers. How do you feel? I said, I think he's right. We are 2 minor leaguers. And it's funny that it's come full circle that, it's friendly with Lee. We become great friends.
And of course, he came back in '86 to be part of the championship team. 1-1 to Jason Hayward.
I remember when he started the basket catch, because in those days the Mets teams were not good, so to get some kind of flavor, personality, anything was great. But my dad saying, do not ever catch a ball like that. Only Willie catches a ball like that.
Catch it like that. 2 hands. 1-2-3 inning for Neese, halfway through. 1-0 Braves. opener of the night against Mike Minor. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Lucas Duda leads off against Minor in the 5th. So let's see. Minor threw 7 hitless innings against the Reds, gave up a hit in the 8th. And now he's thrown 4 perfect innings tonight. This is the guy with an ERA just under 5.
I'm going to take a rest from the game tomorrow. I need to get a little better at my craft. Take a day off.
Well, it was interesting when Kevin was talking about Minor before, talking about the expectation level. Because remember that the Braves lost a couple of key pitchers in spring training this year. Brandon Beachy and Chris Medlin both went down. Minor's season got off to a bad start. Minor had a really good year last year. They lost Tim Hudson to free agency. Minor pitched a great game in the postseason against the Dodgers. Got the Braves' only win in that series against LA.
Line the other way. Simmons not quite tall enough, and Duda has the Mets' first hit of the game. Well, Simmons is a magician, but his vertical has its limits. And Duda has an opposite field single to give the Mets their first base run.
Well, hitting it against the shift, and just seems like it grazed the top of the leather of Simmons. He's not happy either. It's almost like he thought he should make that play.
Yeah. Maybe if he was 6'7", he would have. So the Mets have a leadoff man on, tying run on base for Travis d'Arnaud. Anyway, getting back to Minor. So here's a guy who was #1 draft pick, 7th overall pick in the nation. Great pedigree, college teammate of David Price's, and he's seen how much Price has accomplished. There's a lot on this guy's shoulders this year. And to implode the way that he did, and he really did, it's got to be very, very difficult.
And the way you explained it almost makes sense, doesn't it? Sometimes for especially young pitchers, I think you forget what a great teammate Tim Hudson was, the kind of guy that you can rely on to be the #1 guy out there. And I'll just take my starts and be here in the background.
Hit hard right at Johnson, and back to first goes Duda, 1 away.
And then the other factor that we never really think about too much, you're breaking in a new catcher. He had a comfortability factor with Brian McCann back there, and they knew each other, and sometimes that'll take away from some of your comfort.
Well, he's only 26, and the bottom line ends up being the Braves have managed to prosper with their staff without Minor having a very good year, and now here he is having seemingly turned a corner. And if that turns out to be the biggest bump that he has in his career, that'll be a great thing for Atlanta.
I like his future, don't you?
Yeah. Duda at first and 1 out. 2 hard hit balls in a row against Minor to start this 5th inning. And Campbell dribbles one down to first. Freeman will put the tag on Campbell for the 2nd out as Duda goes to 2nd. There are your city probables for the series coming up starting tomorrow night against the Phillies. Jacob deGrom goes to the mound against David Buchanan tomorrow night. Bartolo Colon Saturday, coming back from his mom's funeral, which was today in the Dominican, against Jerome Williams, who's pitched great since coming over to the Phillies. And then Dylan G goes Sunday against A.J. Burnett, who comes off his best start in ages.
What did A.J. have? 12 punch-outs in his last start.
So 2 out, Duda at 2nd, and here's Flores, who lined out to short his first time up. By the way, watching a Braves lefty throw it reminds me of the news today for the Braves. Just horrible news for Johnny Venters, who has another torn ligament in his elbow. If he wants to keep pitching, he will require a 3rd Tommy John surgery.
Awful.
I mean, think about the meteoric rise and fall of Johnny Venters.
Well,
such a valuable left-handed arm out of that bullpen.
Well, you can't say that he did not leave it on the field. He was a guy that was always ready, never begged out. Seemed like he pitched in 70, 80 games a year. But the numbers here, 85 after a 79 game season, and then 66 in 2012. So he was out there a lot.
Yeah, and got pushed really hard really quickly. And you and I have talked about this before. There's so much conversation about protecting starting pitchers, not nearly as much about protecting relief pitchers.
And there should be more, because if you look like at a team like the Mets, you should have more discussion. I'm sure they are, about Familia Mejia and Vic Black moving forward. They're going to be a big part of your team.
Grounded down to third. Johnson will go to first with it. And that retires the side. So the Mets get their first hit, but leave Duda stranded after 5 at Citi Field, 1-0 in left. Ashburn was the first Met elected to an all-star team. Who was the second? Sixth inning, 1-0 Atlanta. Emilio Bonifacio is 2 for 2. The last one was painful for John Neese. Hit off the outside of his left knee. Bonifacio stole the base back in the first inning. It'll be Bonifacio, Freeman, and Upton, 2, 3, and 4 in the order for the Braves. Ball and a strike. We've been engaging in a conversation tonight, an ongoing discussion about the Mets lineage in center field dating back to their earliest days. We last talked about Lee Mazzilli, whose exit in the famed Ron Darling trade,
not that famed,
opened up a spot for young William Hayward Wilson out of Bamberg, South Carolina, best known as Mookie.
Well, it's interesting as you see the numbers on Mookie. Mookie was one of the finest athletes I've ever seen. His stride reminded me of someone that should be a track and field guy. I mean, just long, beautiful strides. I think most Mets fans remember him. If he hit a triple, that helmet was coming off. But we're talking defense, and if he did misjudge a ball, which wasn't often, he just had that closing speed that he could get to it. And running in the gaps, I wouldn't say going straight over his head was Mookie's strength, although he was good at that, but the gaps is where he had that great closing speed. And it was just so much fun to watch him go get him, as they used to say.
3-2 to Bonifacio. And the fastball on the outside corner got him looking. 4th strikeout for John Neese.
That catch illustrates that as we see the catches by Mookie. I guess I was saying he didn't go back on the ball as well, but he came in as well as anyone I've ever seen. I mean, look at that athleticism on the carpet. It's like landing in a parking lot.
And it's also important to remember that when Mookie first came up, the Mets were a bad team.
Yeah.
And he lent, along with Hubie Brooks, but more so Mookie, lent an excitement to Shea Stadium that had not been seen there in years.
An excitement and professionalism also. He was a guy that played hard every out. So a lot of those games, Gary, are the opposition 8, the Mets 2, and he was still playing like it was the first inning. And I think that's why fans came to love him and still do.
Freeman pops one up. David Wright has room, and that's the 2nd out. And of course, Mookie kind of bridged the era from the bad Met teams of the early 80s into the teams that wound up being the winners in '86, and of course that is seminal moment in that. But along the way, the Mets brought up a young center fielder to compete with Mookie for playing time, and it became kind of a shared position when Lenny Dykstra arrived. Upton hits one deep to center field. Lagares judging how much room he has, which is plenty, and that retires the side. 1-2-3 inning for John Neese. He's now retired 8 in a row. Get the Mets get him some offense. 1-0 Atlanta. Yusmeiro Petit, who began his career as a Mets farmhand and now has found his way into the Major League record book. I know that, Ronnie, you always love the thing that has never been accomplished before. Right. Retiring 46 consecutive batters. Can you even conceive of that? I'm not familiar with that at all. Just an amazing accomplishment for Petit. And when you think about it, this is his first start after Tim Lincecum lost his role in the starting rotation. So taking over for Lincecum, didn't miss a step. Jim Barr had the National League record 41 in a row also for the Giants. The Major League record was Mark Burley, 45. He did that around his perfect game. Freeman can't get to it. Now did Tejada interfere with his path to the ball? Let's see if Freddie Gonzalez comes out to argue that. Apparently not.
No, well, there's no reason. You have access to first base, so Tejada can just keep running. You know what happens is that Freeman's got to do a better job of sidestepping. At some point, the hustle by Tejada, he has a path from home to first.
But aren't you supposed to give the fielder the path to the ball?
You don't know where the ball is. He doesn't know where the ball is, right? And in fact, Freeman took a bad path to get to that baseball.
1-2 to Tejada, and Ruben takes one at his feet. 2-2.
You know, we talked about how windy it was before, and that definitely played a part in that. It might have been one of those that's blown back that maybe was the catcher's play.
Hit off the thumbs by Tejada. John Neese out on deck. No question he's going to bat for himself. 6th inning in a 1-0 game. Juan Lagares behind him. And in honor of Lagares, we've been looking at the Mets lineage in center field. Hit slowly down to Johnson. So we've reached the point where Lenny Dykstra arrives on the scene, and all of a sudden he and Mookie, and you witnessed almost all of this, had to share center field. Nice picture.
That's Lenny. In a nutshell right there. That's all you need to know about Lenny. He first came up because Mookie hurt his shoulder, and then Mookie in spring training hurt his eye, and Lenny got more and more playing time. But the thing about Lenny, now I don't want to say he was Hunter Pence-like, but there was an awkwardness to the way he ran. There was an awkwardness to the way he threw, but he did both so excellently. And I think the one thing about Lenny is that he had such a brazen personality that it was important for him to not miss a highlight reel. So as Mookie would try to make every hard catch look easy, Lenny wasn't afraid to make every mediocre or in-between catch look a little more difficult.
Had a little Jim Edmonds.
He did. He really did. But he was kind of a showtime kind of player, Lenny.
And the Mets, as it turned out, wound up trading Mookie and Lenny in the same season in 1989. And you know, Mookie went on to play some good years in Toronto, and Lenny became a superstar in Philadelphia. And the Mets, as far as center field is concerned, really went into the wilderness for a long time. I mean, they traded for Juan Samuel when they dealt Dykstra. He didn't work out as a center fielder. He was really an infielder who was being moved out there. And then the Mets had a succession of guys they tried to do the same thing. They tried with Keith Miller. They tried with Howard Johnson. That didn't work out. They brought in Darrell Boston for a while. They had Brett Butler for a year. LaStella throws out Neese for the second out. Brian McRae came in the 90s. Jay Payton, who was supposed to be the answer, turned out to be only a stopgap. Timo Perez. Jeff Duncan was a big time prospect who didn't work out. Wow. Mike Cameron arrived on the scene toward the latter stages of his career and played a great center field in 04. Didn't hit as much as the Mets had hoped. And then finally, at the end of the 04 season, the Mets decided to spend some money. They went out and they signed Carlos Beltran, and he was magnificent.
Well,
not the first season maybe, but after that he was just great.
Well, still has a chance to be a Hall of Fame player. This is probably his signature catch in a Mets uniform. Towles Hill in Houston.
In that 17-inning game. That saved the game. 41 home runs, tied the Mets club record.
There was a really great defensive players, and especially center fielders. There's a real ballet to what they do. They just make it look so beautiful and effortless, and Carlos was always that kind of player. 3 Gold Gloves in his career, all in a Mets uniform.
Only 2 Mets center fielders have ever won Gold Gloves. Tommy Agee was the other, and you know that's the standard that Lagares is chasing. It won't be long before he gets his first, and but it's hard to even conceive of a center fielder providing as much all-around play when you consider offense and defense as Beltran did during his Mets career.
I think Beltran, in my opinion, was the best outfielder to ever wear a Mets uniform, if you're looking at the total package. You know, and I'm taking out the great Willie Mays, who played at the end of his career.
Well, he shared some center field time in 72, 73. Played some first base as well for the Mets. Lagares lines out to Hayward, and Minor just keeps on rolling. Mets have had just one base runner in the first 6 innings. 1-0 Braves after 6.
We've talked about center fielders all night long, and especially with what we've seen from Juan Lagares this year. You know, you get to the point as Johnson may have broken his bat, but that's going to get in front of Juan Lagares, no matter how good he is. Couldn't get to that one, and a leadoff single for the Braves. You know, we've seen Lagares enough. We know he's great. You know, you put up numbers, you look at different ways to describe why he's great, though. And I think that's the thing. I was talking to Tom Goodwin today, and he was telling me after the great catch that he made last night, Tim Tuffle turned to him in the Mets dugout and said, what is it exactly about him? Because, you know, guys, when you've seen it, when you look at him like on the bases, he's fast, but he's not a speed burner. And he's just got it in the outfield. And Tom said, listen, I think there's a couple things. First of all, what turns him into a burner, he never takes a step back. He makes quick decisions and takes direct routes to the ball. That's the thing. He said there is a thing for him in wanting the ball, and not only wanting the ball, but wanting it in pressure situations. He said that, you know, I can only relate to when I played is that, you know, when especially, and this would happen to me, you know, when the ball would be in the air, I'm thinking this guy's out. You're going to go get it. And not everybody has that mentality. He said, I think everyone wants to turn Lagares now because they see the speed out there into, say, a base stealer. He said, but mentality-wise, he's not there yet. Maybe he'll get there. Here's a chance for Lagares, but that's easy for him. And there's one away. Gary?
It's very interesting you say that, Kevin, because I was looking at some numbers today with Andrew Jones, who patrolled center field as well as anyone we've seen. And now we're watching Lagares every day. And after he was 23 years old, he stopped running. So he did steal some bases, not a lot of bases, but he did steal some bases early in his career. Remember, Andrew started when he was 19 years old.
Andrew also got very big and became a big home run hitter.
51 in that one year, right? But so reaction to the ball hit off the bat is different than the ability to read pitchers. That's a whole different art. And it has a lot to do with speed. Because if you're a Billy Hamilton, you can get a bad jump and still steal the base. Well, Lagares is not there.
So what you're talking about is the borderline between natural ability and particular skills. Yeah. In other words, speed is a natural ability, but the ability to apply that speed to the crack of the bat versus the move of the pitcher are two very different skills.
The confidence he has as a defensive player, he does not have as a base stealer.
Andrelton Simmons takes low and away. Takes a strike.
Ronnie, I wonder, does that make Lagares better? You know, because he's not a burner, he almost has to get those better reads. I wonder if that makes him better in some weird way.
It's interesting you would say that, Kevin. Yeah, I think that it's like a guy who doesn't throw hard. He's got to learn how to pitch to get outs. If you don't have that blazing speed, I've seen a lot of guys come up who just have flat out great speed that are never good outfielders because they don't work on their craft. Obviously, moving from the infield to the outfield, Lagares has worked extremely hard, but he has an innate ability, and he has it just in his blood, in his DNA, to track that ball down. And so that's why I think that not only are the Mets, players and coaches, but I was talking to some people with the Braves today who marvel. Terry Collins was talking to Freddie Gonzalez, who said this kid must be a blast to watch night in and night out.
Curveball. Darno couldn't find it at his feet for a moment, but he does. 2-2.
And I think also Lagares has some incredible. He has fearlessness, and that's something you can teach.
Well, especially going back on balls. You know, and the one part of his game that you don't see a lot of, that you see from other center fielders, is that home run stealing. Now, we've seen him do it a couple of times, but you know, you watch a guy like a Mike Trout. You watched back in the day Torrey Hunter when he was in his prime, or Ken Griffey Jr. They would go over the wall with regularity. But two things about those guys. Carlos Gomez is another one now. They play deeper. And in the case especially of Hunter and Griffey, they played in an era where a lot more balls were going over the fence. Slowly hit. Can they turn two? Flores gets the out at second. Had a bobble on the exchange, and not sure they would have been able to turn two anyway. So they get the 4-6 force play on Johnson for the second out.
Well, I think you make a great point about Lagares. I thought nice job by Flores. Really no chance to turn two. So you want to act like a first baseman and just get the force here if you're Tejada. Just barely keeps that foot on the bag, right?
Did he ever have that ball in his glove? That's very close to not being an exchange play, and the Braves thinking about maybe a challenge, but
you would think it's too late now, but you never know.
Well, Bob Davidson's not here. 2 out and a runner at first. Gerald Laird, the batter, had a base hit back in the second, 1 for 2, and swings over the curveball. So in many ways, Lagares is in terms of the way he positions himself, is more like an old school guy. Paul Blair or Willie Mays, those guys played very shallow because they played in an era where, you know, the home run wasn't as prevalent, and we're getting back to that kind of baseball. And in many ways, Lagares is now a center fielder for this era.
Yeah, he's the prototype, and I bet you if you asked him, he wouldn't know that he's doing that. But you know what he's doing? He's watching the game. He's watching that I've got a good pitching staff. I've got a big ballpark. I'm not seeing a lot of balls go over my head, so I'll lynch up. And he's also doing something that we saw the first night with Alex Wood. He knows how to come in against certain players. Alex Wood's a pitcher, of course, but he's starting to read the hitters also.
And positioning is a big part of that as well. Granderson catches Laird's fly ball. Terrific outing for Neese. 7 good innings, but he's down in this game 1-0 at the stretch. 7:10. The first 20,000 fans will receive a Curtis Granderson bobblehead, courtesy of Gold's Horseradish. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Let's answer our Peraza trivia question. Talking about center fielders tonight, Richie Ashburn was the first Met selected to the All-Star team. The second, Duke of Flatbush, who made his swan song with the Mets in 1963.
So a swan song for Richie Ashburn, swan song for Duke Snider, and then they had their first starter in '64, right?
A younger player in Ron Hunt, who had finished second in the Rookie of the Year before to Pete Rose.
Well, if you're going to finish second.
Granderson's been up twice, struck out both times. And he hits one hard, and it eats up Freeman. He recovers. The throw to Minor not in time, and Granderson's aboard. Now that ball just came up on Freeman, and he couldn't handle the hop.
I don't think there's anything you could do. Freeman tried to get his whole body in front of it. He did knock it down, and by the time he got it there, too much speed from Granderson. See, he tried to play it off his midsection and then carry him to his left, and didn't come down right in front of him. So nice try by Freeman, good hustle by Granderson, and Minor a little late.
It's an infield hit for Granderson, his first hit in this series, and the Mets' second hit of the night. Freeman looked like a grasshopper going after that ball. So here's David Wright with Granderson at first and nobody out. David takes an off-speed pitch for a strike.
Here's the angle of the throw. Just beaten Granderson and Minor. You know what's interesting late here in the games is that we've seen, and maybe it's just a series for me, we've seen the coaches start to not come out, or it's interesting. It's almost like, okay, that play looks like it looked. Let's not waste any time. Terry Collins did it with one of the plays already in this series.
Oh, 2 to Wright, and David fights one off. Well, tomorrow night Keith's going to be with us, and the three of us are going to have a full discussion along with Kevin about our thoughts about the replay system in depth after watching it in action for the last 5 months. Good and bad. Slowly hit. Simmons gets the out there. LaStella's relay in time for the double play. Not hit hard, and yet they turn the 6-4-3.
I mean, he's got the hands of a magician or a 3-card Monte player on Canal Street. You can't get rid of the ball any quicker than that. And look at that stretch by Freeman. I mean, all the way around. I said in the beginning, is you have good pitching and you have some defense, you catch the ball, you're going to win some games in today's game.
So here's Duda, who had the first Met hit, a single over Simmons' head in the 5th inning. So the Mets have had just 2 base runners, and one of them has now been erased. To 0 to Duda with Darno on deck. Minor has not walked a batter. Struck out 5, but he hasn't struck out anybody since the 4th inning. Retired the first 12 tonight before Duda's hit to start the 5th. And a 2-0 breaking ball for a strike. Well, Minor worked with a 1-0 lead in Cincinnati in his last start. The Reds tied it up in the 8th, and Duda pops one up. Simmons goes out to call in the wind and puts it away to retire the side. After 7, Braves 1, Mets nothing. All the latest news from Jets and Giants on Loudmouth, presented by Caesars Atlantic City, tomorrow at 5:30 only on SNY. Mike Minor is driven in the only run of this game. You might say he's had the run of this game. John Neese has been almost as good, but he gave up a 2-out walk to Simmons in the second. Base hits by the 8 and 9 hitters Laird and Minor produced the only run in this game. Minor hits one well out to right, chasing Granderson back, and it's over his head. Minor heads for second, and he's in standing with a leadoff double. Well, he's hit the ball hard 3 times in a row. Minor has. The guy was hitting 132 coming into the game, and that one beat Granderson for an opposite field double.
Well, you're going to play in on the pitcher, but still, this ball seemed to get into a gust of wind because it took off and easily beat Granderson back to the fence.
Well, it's been windy all night, and that one, he eluded Granderson. Now a runner at second with nobody out for Hayward, who's 0 for 3 on the night. He's only thrown 86 pitches as Hayward shows bunt. I would have to bet he was doing that on his own.
Or yes, and maybe just trying to play for a run. Hard to bunt with the pitcher on second after he's just beat out a double. Not a lot left in those legs for the non-everyday player.
And Neese comes inside against Hayward, and remember, it was Neese who hit Hayward in the jaw last year. And which is why he still wears that guard on his face.
Something very similar to the same pitch too. The ball was called for outside, and it missed a foot inside.
And again inside. Well, we were talking last night about reluctance maybe of Met pitchers to come inside to Hayward, and whether Neese is just out of control on those last 2 pitches or not.
I think he's out of control. Both pitches were called for outside. So,
and that one hits its target. 2-2. Really, Bonifacio on deck. The Braves 1 run and 7 hits. The Mets no runs and 2 hits. Carlos Torres first man up in the Mets bullpen. If you missed the news earlier, Mets made a move with their bullpen. Vic Black goes on the DL with a slight herniated disc in his neck. Daisuke Matsuzaka activated from the disabled list. Curveball got him. He strikes out Hayward for the first out of the inning. 5 strikeouts for John.
Well, after those pitches in, I don't think Hayward wanted any part of this breaking ball away. Good pitch by Jonathan.
So 1 out. Now Bonifacio, who's 2 for 3 tonight. By the way, Mike Minor with 2 hits tonight, had 1 previous 2-hit game in his career. It was last year against the Mets, the game he hit the home run against Dylan G. Bonifacio singled up the middle and then banged one off Neese's leg. This one's hit well to center. That's going to go over the head of Lagares as the wind blows it to the warning track. Minor will score easily. Bonifacio racing for third. Florence's relay throw skips away from right, and Bonifacio has an RBI triple. 2-0 Atlanta. Well, that ball took a sharp right turn as the wind got a hold of it. I'm not sure Lagares would have gotten there anyway. But Bonifacio winds up with his 4th triple of the year.
Well, we were talking earlier in the game about Tommy Agee and then playing these Shea Stadium winds. Well, the winds usually don't come into play at this ballpark, but certainly they are tonight. The Minor hit that eluded Granderson in right field, and then this ball in center field straight over the head of Lagares, and a triple by Bonifacio.
Now Freeman bangs one up the middle, and he's got a base hit, and that chases home Bonifacio with the 3rd Atlanta run. So Freeman wasting no time, driving in Bonifacio to make it 3-0, and Terry Collins on his way to the mound. Well, Neese had just about matched Minor through 7 innings, but the 8th proves to be his undoing. A double to Minor, a triple to Bonifacio. Freeman drives in a run. 3-0 Atlanta. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. That had fall apart in a hurry in the 8th inning. Leaves after 7 1/3, 93 pitches, down 3-0. Carlos Torres comes in.
After his start on August 18th, he has not given up a run in 3 appearances.
Worked the 9th inning last night, a 5-pitch inning for him. Last night his inning went hard single off the wall and left by Gaddis. Dendecker made a nice play, held him to a single. La Stella hit one to the fence in left center. Lagares went coast to coast to run it down, and then he got a double play ball from Simmons. It was not elegant, but it was quick.
Both Torres and Walden had those kind of innings, right?
Justin Upton is 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out, popped up, flied out. Freeman at first and 1 out. And Upton fouls one away. 0-2. Well, the Braves in their last 6 games, including tonight, have scored 14 runs. But if they win tonight, they'll be 3-3 in those 6 games. That's how good their pitching has been.
Well, they have an unusually decent record when they only score 3 runs, which is tells you a lot about Freddie Gonzalez's team.
73 times this year. What's that? 73 out of 133. So more than half the time they've scored 3 runs or fewer this year. Upton checked his swing on the pitch in the dirt. Freeman goes to second. Did they check the half swing? I guess he did not. It's a wild pitch moving Freeman to second.
Breaking ball hits 5 feet in front of the plate. Can't do anything more than Lagares did, just to hurl your body in front of it and hope you get lucky. D'Arnaud, I'm sorry. He did everything you could do.
So it's 1-2 to Upton, with Freeman now in scoring position. Anyway, in those 73 games the Braves have played where they scored 3 or fewer, they've won 21, which is 1 less than the most wins for any team scoring 3 runs or fewer. That belongs to the Marlins. Upton down on strikes. That's the second out of the inning. In recognition of number 48, Jacob deGrom's fantastic rookie season, you can get 4 tickets for just $48 to all games through Sunday. Get to Citi Field tomorrow night for deGrom's next scheduled start when the Mets host the Phillies at 7:10. To purchase 4 field level tickets for just $48, get to Mets.com/deGrom. There's Chris Johnson, 2 for 3 tonight. And it's Free Shirt Friday tomorrow. Two and 1 to Johnson. Just activated from the disabled list. Daisuke Matsuzaka up in the Mets bullpen. The original plan was for Daisuke to make another rehab start tonight for Brooklyn. But after he threw an intense bullpen session earlier in the week, they scratched that idea. And now with Vic Black going on the DL, Daisuke is here and ready to go. He was going to be activated Monday in any event when the rosters expand. Full count to Johnson.
One of those circumstances for Torres with the lead you have, or being down 3-0, have to make your pitch, and he did.
Yes, Johnson looking at the fastball, so back-to-back strikeouts for Torres. But the Braves scored 2 off Nice and lead 3-0 in the 8th. Travis d'Arnaud leads off in the home 8th against Mike Minor, who has had that Little League game tonight. 7 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 2 hits of his own, an RBI, and a run scored. I'd say he's done it all. d'Arnaud is 0 for 2. Hit the ball hard his last time up, lining out to third base, but this time Minor gets ahead of him 0-2. The big game in Major League Baseball is out west tonight. After playing 3 in Oakland last weekend, the Angels and A's get together in Anaheim for the first of 4 tonight. Sonny Gray and C.J. Wilson open that series. The Angels begin the night a game in front of Oakland for the lead in the AL West and for the lead for the best record in baseball.
Well, C.J. Wilson came back from an ankle injury. He has not pitched great, so they're looking for him to start turning it on.
That's drilled to right center. Bonifacio back in the gap, won't get it. And d'Arnaud moves into second base with the Mets' first extra base hit of the night. A leadoff double in the home 8th. 15th double of the year for d'Arnaud, his second in this series.
Well, this ball is perfectly placed, but the inning prior, I don't think Hayward or Bonifacio learned anything that the wind is really taking that ball in the gap to right field or to right center field and adding about another 10-15 feet.
By the way, there are very few right fielders in baseball who get nearly as close to that ball as Hayward does.
Maybe Puig last year.
There's Campbell, who's been up twice and grounded out both times. The Braves bullpen is going to get started. Mike Minor does not have a complete game this year. Remember, his last start ended after 7 2/3. David Carpenter, who pitched last night, first man up again tonight for the Braves. d'Arnaud's hit was the Mets' third of the night. All 3 have come leading off innings.
Up the middle, base hit for Campbell. d'Arnaud to third. He's going to be waved home. Bonifacio's throw to the plate is cut off, and the Mets are on the board. Eric Campbell with an RBI single. It's now 3-1 Atlanta.
Isn't it funny? You can't get a run the entire game. They put a couple on the board, and you come right back with a run. Good hitting by Campbell up the middle. And see Bonifacio let up on that ball. No reason to throw home. Keep the double play in order.
Freddie Gonzalez to the mound. He'll take the ball from Mike Minor, who gives up back-to-back hits to start the 8th. Pitching change brought to you by Wise. Carpenter coming on. We'll be right back to Citi Field.
punch outs are up for Carpenter. He's also a guy that can get that double play ground ball. Came in to face Flores last night.
Got Flores to pop up and Tejada to ground out in his stint in the 7th last night. Comes in here in the 8th with a 2-run lead and gets ahead on Flores. Minor was tremendous for 7, but gave up a double to d'Arnaud, a run scoring hit to Campbell, and now he can only watch as the Braves bullpen tries to get him the 6 outs he needs. 3-1 Atlanta, 8th inning. Late swing foul, and Carpenter ahead on Flores, 0-2. Ruben Tejada on deck, pitcher spot behind him. Mets have been playing 2 short the last few days, only 1 short today. That's Daniel Murphy, who went for an MRI on his calf. Not making the progress the Mets had hoped since coming out of the game Sunday in LA. 0-2 coming to Flores, and he fouls it back off the screen.
There's Murph.
Well, you know how badly he wants to get back in there.
Of course.
Jeurys Familia joins Daisuke in the Mets bullpen.
Murph is coming off his best year, and he's having a better year this year.
And he's chasing 200 hits. He's hitting 300. Breaking ball inside to Flores, 1-2. If he misses much more time, 200 hits becomes out of the question. And plus he wants to play every day. That's just his nature. One-two coming, and Flores hits a tapper. Carpenter on target for the first out as Campbell takes second. So 1 out, and now Ruben Tejada, who's flied out and grounded out tonight, 0 for 2, 1 for 9 in this series. Kirk Neuenhuis out on deck to bat for Torres. Mets had a lot of late inning chances last night. Got a run in the 8th, were robbed of another on the great play by Simmons. Had a big chance in the 9th against Kimbrel that they let get away. Tejada was a big part of that. Trying to come through here in the 8th, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Tomorrow night the Phillies are in town for the first of 3. Our coverage begins on SNY tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Jacob deGrom makes the start. His second since coming back from the disabled list. Had a little trouble in LA getting the ball down. See if he's more like himself tomorrow night.
Probably fired up, right?
I'll be happy not to see Adrian Gonzalez in the lineup tomorrow.
So is every pitcher.
Exactly. Tejada lofts one out to right, and Hayward comes on. 2 out. Campbell still at second.
What did I say to you about Gonzalez when you got home from LA? I said, when I watch Adrian Gonzalez, he reminds me now, he has a little more power. Reminds me how Keith used to hit. Same kind of hitter, coast to coast, great 2-strike hitter, clutch.
Take that outside pitch to left field, especially in an RBI situation. The only thing that's changed about Gonzalez is he's not hitting lefties this year. It used to be he'd take you deep to left field against the left-handers.
I'm trying to think, the starting pitcher left-hander's gotten a little better in the game. I don't know. But he owns right-handers enough to make up for it.
He's got a pretty good lineup around him, too. Well, here's Neuenhuis, who made the last out of last night's game, flying out against Kimbrel with the tying run at third. Bats here, tying run at the plate in a 3-1 game in the 8th. Bert's done a fine job as a pinch hitter. Facing off here against David Carpenter, who's come in and gotten 2 quick outs. Simmons runs to the bag, and Carpenter simply steps off.
I was telling you in between innings, Simmons is like one of those guys when you have a team and not all the players and amateur level are that good. There's one guy that's very good and he wants to catch everything. He just runs around the whole field and catches everything. That's what Simmons is like.
Like Kelly Leak.
I mean, it's unbelievable. He wants to pick off guys. You know what it does tell you is that he's in the game every pitch.
Neuenhuis 1 for 5 in his career against Carpenter. Campbell at second and 2 out. And Kirk takes it just out of the strike zone. 2-0.
Well, when you look at the outfield for the Braves, let's see their throwing arms. Upton's very accurate on the short field. Bonifacio charges the ball about as well as anyone. Doesn't have a great arm, though. Sorry, take that back. He does have a great arm. And Hayward probably the best arm in the outfield. Remember Bonifacio was an infielder? Remember when he played right field for the Marlins? He came up with a couple of great throws. Remember, he was the one responsible for the throw behind Tolley at first base. Josh had turned first and taken a big turn, and Bonifacio threw behind him.
Right about his aggressiveness, about as aggressive as Lagares charging the ball in the outfield. 3-1 to Neuenhuis, and that's outside, and now the tying runs are on base with Lagares coming up. So Carpenter retired his first 2. Now the walk to Neuenhuis puts the tying runs aboard. Lagares came in having hit in 5 straight games and driving in 7 runs in those 5 games. 0 for 3 tonight. Lined out to Hayward in right field his last time up. Campbell at second. Neuenhuis the tying run at first. Lagares has 1 career at bat against Carpenter and had a base hit. And he takes a breaking ball at the knees for a strike. Anthony Varvaro up in the bullpen for Atlanta. Lagares takes one to second base, and La Stella equal to it. That retires the side. Mets get a run, can't get more. Down 3-1 going to the 9th. sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap, introduces the new green pepper sauce flavor. Just had some tonight. Pick up the perfect punch of jalapeno and poblano today. By Hyundai. Hyundai leaves the rest wanting. Find out why by visiting buyhyundai.com today. And by Wise Snacks, the official potato chip and cheese doodle of the New York Mets. It's all things New York sports all on one site, SNY.TV, the ultimate blog network, featuring a continuous flow of sports news straight from the best New York sports blogs. SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. SNY Super Slow Motion, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Yeah, for the first time in 5 weeks, Daisuke Matsuzaka takes the mound.
He went on the DL with right elbow inflammation. Took him a month to get back.
Last outing was July the 24th against Milwaukee. He faces Tommy La Stella leading off in the top of the ninth. La Stella 0 for 3 tonight. Hit a bullet his last time up that Lagares caught in center field. La Stella, Simmons, and Laird against Matsuzaka in the ninth. And the curveball bounces 2-1. John Neese went 7 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 9 hits. Carlos Torres struck out his 2 batters in the 8th, and now Matsuzaka in the 9th, with the Mets down 3-1.
Well, they've had 2 back-to-back starts by their pitchers, 7 innings or more with 3 runs. Wheeler's were just 2 earned runs, and on the losing end of both games.
2-2, and La Stella hits it sharply past Flores. A base hit for Tommy La Stella. So the Braves have their 10th hit of the night. Well, we showed this a little bit earlier. We've been tracking tonight the time that hitters spend outside the batter's box, both at the beginning of their at-bats and between pitches. Got a pinch runner here. Phil Goslin is coming in to run for La Stella at first base. So the clock starts when the hitter goes onto the dirt. And again, this is a very unscientific way of looking at one aspect of the pace of games. Some future game will look at the pitchers and their piece of it. Andrelton Simmons the batter. Goslin the pinch runner at first. So we're starting the clock when the hitter steps out of the batter's box with both feet, and stopping it when he steps back in with 2 feet. Now, there are obviously many factors involved in pace of game. This is only one of them. Certainly TV is complicit. You have 2-minute and 5-second breaks 18 times a game. That's 37 minutes right there, plus pitching changes. Could be more than 40 minutes a game of commercial time. But that really hasn't changed in the last few years, and yet time of game is up 13 minutes on average over the last 5 years. So something has changed, and this is trying to get a handle on just how much time is spent when the hitters are at bat but not at bat.
What chunk of the game is taken up by the offense getting in?
Popped up. Flores retreating. Lagares coming in. The wind taking it, and Flores stays with it for the first out. And again, this is only to get some kind of vague number, not to look at any individual team or player, just kind of an overview.
Well, I think over the course of the rest of the season, if we do this with a lot of different parts of the game, and you mentioned them, we're going to get a gauge on, what kind of percentage of the game the whole pie is taken up by guys getting in the box, starting pitchers, and their time. I believe just on the pitching side, relievers tend to slow the game down because maybe every pitch is so important they take a lot of time in between pitches.
And some of the things are interrelated. In other words, we just saw Laird step out of the batter's box because Daisuke stepped off the rubber. So, you know, the two things sometimes go hand in hand. Laird is 1 for 3 tonight at a base hit to right field back in the second. There goes the runner, hit and run play, and Laird fouls it off.
That was a nice job by Laird to just get a piece of that breaking ball from Daisuke. You know, everyone thinks that a hit and run, the only way that can be successful is that you get a base hit and the guy goes first to third. That's a success right there because you didn't miss the pitch and the runner thrown out at second base.
Daisuke staying with the curveball and gets ahead on Laird 1-2.
Maybe we can have our stat guy, whoever that is that day, track how many catcher visits during a ball game.
Curveball lifted to left, and Campbell eases over. That's the second out, and Goslin back to first.
Do you know who's the most irritating person for me to pitch against because of how long it took him to get in the box? And I did not pitch against Mike Hargrove. Bernie Williams.
Really?
Was one of the slowest to get in the box in baseball. And I mean, maybe it was irritating because I was just so bad at the end, but it was very irritating.
There's Ryan Domit to pinch hit. Domit, a switch hitter, not having a very good year, coming off the bench for the Braves, hitting just .192 with 3 home runs. The catcher visits are an interesting piece of the equation because in Japan, you know, they limit the number of visits a catcher can make per game or per inning. I don't know whether that would play here or not.
I think it certainly would play here. You could call it the Yadier rule, right? I mean, ball players can conform to anything. If you start making that, you know, 2 visits by a catcher equals a visit by the pitching coach, they'll stop in a second.
Domit hits one a long way to right center. Granderson back, takes a look, and that ball's out of here. A 2-run pinch hit home run for Ryan Domit, his 4th home run of the season. And the Braves extend their lead to 5-1. Domit's 2nd pinch hit home run and his 4th home run overall as Daisuke throwing breaking ball after breaking ball. And Domit got a hold of one.
Well, that's really become Domit's job on this Braves team, to come off the bench and provide a little power. And Daisuke hung this one, and we've been talking the last couple innings. Anything to right field has a chance.
Fifth career pinch hit home run for Domit, his 2nd this season, and the Braves once again have broken things open. It was a 1-0 game until the 8th. Braves put up a quick 2 against Nice, and after the Mets scratched one back, now the 2-run homer by Domit to make it 5-1.
Very interesting to watch a pitcher come off the disabled list throw this many breaking pitches as Daisuke has thrown in this inning.
Hit sharply and past Duda down the right field line. Hayward around first, and he will ease into second base with a 2-out double. First hit of the night for Jason Hayward.
The reason I say that, folks, is that usually when you come off an injury, it means you're healthy and you're feeling your best. So that fastball feels very good in your hand. But this was a fastball down to Hayward, who got that ball past Duda.
Well, Matsuzaka did some very strong work for the Mets early in the year as a swingman, both starting, relieving, working in a variety of different roles. But before he went on the disabled list and now in his first outing back, the returns have been diminishing. Emilio Bonifacio's had a big night, 2 singles and a triple. He drove in a run with a long triple that sailed past Lagares in center field in the 8th. And the first pitch curveball for a strike. Danny Evelyn to work in the Mets bullpen. Bonifacio floats one into shallow right. Granderson coming on. He won't get there. Hayward comes in to score. And the Braves tack on another. A bloop single for Bonifacio. His 4th hit of the night. And it's 6-1 Atlanta. And Terry Collins has seen enough. Danny Evelyn will come in to face Freddie Freeman. 3 runs home in the inning. 6-1 Braves. We'll be right back.
Always dreaming of as a kid. It's like you're lifted off the ground, you're just floating in the air. You can't believe it. And to do it in New York, from your home crowd, everybody's behind you, all the media out there, the fans are rushing the field. You go through all that. Now you're in the clubhouse, you're popping champagne, you're hugging everybody, you're hugging the front office, you're hugging the security guards, everybody, just having a blast.
One of the clips from The Good Doctor, which will make its premiere on SNY on Monday night. An in-depth look at the life and times of Dwight Gooden. Much of it through his own words. Danny Evelyn on to mop up here in the 9th inning.
Hasn't pitched in 6 days, as you see his numbers. Volvo numbers on the season.
Emilio Bonifacio with his 4th hit of the night. That is 5 times this year that Bonifacio's had 4 or more hits. It only had 3 4-hit games in his career before this season, 5 this year. 2-1 to Freeman, who had a base hit to drive and a run his last time up. So not a successful return to action for Daisuke Matsuzaka, who gets 2 outs and gives up 4 hits and so far charged with 3 runs. And Freeman down on strikes, so Evelyn mops up, gets the out, and sends us to the bottom of the 9th. Mets down 6-1. A single from Alex Avila in the bottom of the 9th to beat the Yankees 3-2. Yusmeiro Petit went 6 innings, allowed 4 hits. Along the way, set a major league record, retiring 46 batters in a row as the Giants beat the Rockies 4-1. And the A's and Angels tonight, Sonny Gray and C.J. Wilson, with the Angels up a game in the AL West. There's your Ford Mets box score for tonight. Mets have had just 4 hits. The only RBI for Eric Campbell in the 8th inning. Mets down 6-1 as they come to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Phil Gosselin, who pinch ran, stays in the game at second base, and Staten Island native Anthony Varvaro comes on to pitch.
You know, when he first came up, they weren't sure if he was going to be a starter or a reliever, and struggled early on, but has found a nice home in that bullpen the last couple of years.
Granderson, Wright, and Duda for the Mets in the bottom of the 9th. Varvaro out of Curtis High School and St. John's University, coming home to pitch tonight, trying to finish off the Mets in the rubber game of this series. 2-0 to Granderson. Mike Minor went 7 innings plus, allowed a run on 4 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. In line for his 6th win of the year. David Carpenter came in when Minor faltered in the 8th. And now Varvaro with a 5-run lead in the 9th. 2-1 to Granderson, who had a base hit, a ball that took a wicked hop on Freddie Freeman and bounced off his body and away. That was leading off the 7th, and Curtis was then immediately erased on a double play. Pop foul back and out of play. Mets and Phillies tomorrow night. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for Ryne Sandberg. Several of his prominent players putting him in uncomfortable situations. The latest, Cole Hamels walking off the mound before Sandberg had arrived and flipping the ball to him, and that whole nonsense. Granderson lifts one to right center, and Hayward has it lined up. And it certainly sparked a lot of discussion in Philadelphia about the perception that some of the Phillies veteran players are not on the same page with their manager.
Well, I think that he's been a lot tougher than they thought he was going to be. They had it pretty comfortable with Charlie manual and really not a lot of rules. And I think one of the things that Ryan Sandberg did when he came in was be on time, all those kind of things. And when you have a comfortable team that's won a championship, sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. It shouldn't, but it does.
Here's David Wright. He drills one to center. Bonifacio's right there, and that's the second out.
By the way, there's no excuse for walking off the mound and flipping the ball to the manager. It's known from the beginning of time that is about the worst thing you can do to a manager. Out of respect, you wait and you hand him the ball.
By the way, speaking of the Phillies, who are coming in tomorrow, I want to wish nothing but the best to their team president, David Montgomery, who's had to take a leave of absence, recovering from cancer surgery, and the venerable Pat Gillick is going to take his place on an interim basis. We wish Dave nothing but the best. He is simply class up, down, and sideways. Here's a strike to Lucas Duda. I have never encountered a person in that position in baseball who's more beloved by the people in the organization who work for him. Curveball off the plate, and it's 1-1 to Duda. Travis d'Arnaud would be next. That's down to their final out. Duda has one of the Mets' 4 hits tonight. And now the Mets are down to their final strike. Well, that's the number we've reached so far in a very unscientific measure of how much time hitters spend outside the batter's box. This has generally been a fast-paced game. On a different night, maybe that number would be a little higher. Maybe some nights it might be lower. That's what we've got, though, somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 minutes. And the night ends for the Mets on a strikeout as Duda is fanned by Varvaro, and the Braves stay within a game and a half of the second wild card spot as they take the rubber game of the series from the Mets. Strong pitching by Mike Minor as the Braves pull away late and win it 6-1.
Well, Jonathan Neese pitched well, but in his last 4 starts against the Braves here at Citi Field, 26 and a third innings pitched. He's given up 5 runs, and he's only gotten 6 runs. He's only gotten 1 run scored by his Mets while he was in the game. So tough here, tough going for Neese, and just too much Mike Minor. Freddie Gonzalez's crew takes 2 out of 3.
Game summary brought to you by New York Community Bank. Mike Minor, who was great in his last start against the Reds, turned that into another solid outing tonight for his 6th win of the year. Bonifacio with his 5th 4-hit game of the year, and the Braves win it 6-1. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. The annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Delta. Delta has the only outdoor airport lounge in New York. Delta, keep climbing. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. By Pepsi. For more of MLB's most thrilling moments, check out MLB.com/Pepsi. And by Ford. For great deals on Ford cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, visit TriStateFord.com. Final score tonight, Braves 6, Mets 1. Braves take 2 of 3 in the series. Now the Phillies come in for 3 starting tomorrow night. Jacob deGrom against David Buchanan. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. Now for Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Let's join Gary Apple and Bobby Ojeda in the studio.